Hello my friends, welcome to this video. I'm going to talk to you about healing with no integration, the spiritual trap to continuously bring you again to another ceremony, another healing, another journey. And I want to share from my personal experience. So I felt, and you might probably feel this, I felt like I needed to constantly heal in order for me to deserve the life that I dreamed of. I felt like I needed to do more work. I needed to go to another ceremony. I needed to take more plant medicine, do more, do this, do that. And it just felt like a never-ending loop. And when I had my experience, when I had my awakening at the beginning, it started very slowly and then it progressed really quickly. And that's when it was to the peak moment where I was feeling a lot of emotions and a lot of unprocessed trauma coming to the surface. I relied on ayahuasca. That was the first plant that I ever tried because I had tried so many things like psychology, psychologist, a therapist, and it did help, but it didn't really help me profoundly. So I sought something that could really, really change because I was just really in a negative mindset. I was really in a very dark place and I needed something that could quickly take me out of that. So when I did my first ceremony, I did it in Honduras. I was living in Roatan at the time, and I really loved the experience. It really opened my mind into a new world, a new possibility, a new connection that I hadn't explored before, and a new level of understanding. But then, I just feel like sometimes the shamans, with all their amazing intentions that they have, they just throw you in the ocean that you're not equipped to move through or swim. You don't know how to swim, and then they throw you there, and it's up to you to figure it out. And perhaps that's the way that the lineage works, and that's how they've been trained. However, I don't think that everyone's equipped to do it that way, or is prepared, or should do it that way. I feel like I had to go through it that way because it kind of helped me be where I am today and understand what I understand now. But at the time I didn't, and it was very hard for me. And I just felt like if I didn't have the childhood that I had or the strength that I had built in my growth in my childhood, I wouldn't have been able to handle it. So after I did that first ceremony, I did a couple of ceremonies after, and I was doing that for a couple of years. And I just felt like I was in this constant loop of repeating the same things. It was like I would get these cool visuals, these cool experiences. I would meet amazing people that were on the same path or were looking for the same thing. So it kind of brought me into this community and this sense of belonging. And that's what got me hooked and to continuously keep showing up for these ceremonies. But every time it was something different, a new plant, a new ceremony, a new medicine, a revolutionary way, a new type of DMT release in your brain. And every experience was definitely different, and it kind of took me to different places. But I also felt like I was able to integrate the information because I have a background in psychology and I know how the mind works, and I've constantly studied about the mind, and I was able to bring down the information that I received. But I did see a couple of my friends and a couple of people just get into this mindset of the more medicine I take, the more enlightened I am. Or it's cool to take more medicine, of oh my God, I've done 10 ayahuasca ceremonies. And I always, that thing never really resonated with me, because I was like, you feel proud to have taken 10 ayahuasca ceremonies and you're still here? You haven't been able to process what you need to process? And it just became this thing of another trip, another type of psychedelic trip that I'm going to do. And that's super dangerous, because when we access these plants and we are really tapping into our mind, and we're opening things and we're opening doors to places and to dimensions and to entities or beings that we don't know, that we've never encountered. And I didn't understand that at that time, but now I understand it because I'm doing a lot of hypnosis work and I'm understanding more about entity attachments and things like that. But at the time, I didn't understand it. So when you're opening up your mind, you're opening up yourself and your aura and your field to all these dimensions and these different places and different beings and different things that you are not equipped or you haven't been trained to manage or communicate with. So you accept everything basically because you come in with an innocent mind and an innocent spirit wanting to connect with God and wanting to have a cool experience when you have no freaking clue what's going to show up. So my first ceremonies were good and I was able to release a lot of things. I was able to process a lot of things. I did a lot of journaling at the time, so it helped me integrate the information. Before I speak further, integration is the process of embodying whatever you received from the ceremony, whatever image, whatever visual, whatever feeling, sensation, message that you received, and actually embodying it and bringing it into your daily life, basically, so that it just doesn't stay there. It actually helps you move forward and helps you make better decisions for your future. And that's something that didn't happen with these ceremonies when I went to do them. It was almost all just up to me to figure it out. Hopefully, and I know that now these days people have understood the importance of bringing integration and they have incorporated it into their modalities, but I still feel like you don't need to take 10 ayahuasca trips to get the point. There's a saying that I really liked, and that's what kind of stopped me from going to ceremonies. And it's like, when you get the message, hang up. It's like, that's it. You don't need more, because then you're just getting into dangerous territory that it's going to be hard for you to get out later on. So this never-ending loop constantly puts you in this space of like needing something external for you to heal, when in reality, everything that you need is within you. You just need to learn how to access it or have someone to facilitate that access within you. And when I had my first past life regression or hypnosis session, I realized that I don't need a plant to have incredible visuals and to really connect with all parts of me and really get into my subconscious mind and really vividly experience it like a dream. I didn't know that I was capable of doing that. And that's when I realized that I don't need something external to access my subconscious mind. You can literally access your mind, and you always do when you're sleeping, through dreams. So you don't need something external, okay? And that's very important to understand, because if not, you're going to constantly be in this loop of, I need to drink ayahuasca or need to do all these other things in order to connect with God. When in reality, God is always within you. You can connect to it right now, anytime, because you came from this source. This source lives within you. You can access, you can talk to it any single time. It's not something that you need from the external. It's not something that you need a priest or a guide. You don't need anyone. You have that connection right there with you, all the time. So that's very, very important to understand. So when I had my experience, the last experience that I had, and I will speak about it on another video, because I feel like it's time for me to share and what has been my experience. But that time I consumed something that's called yopo. So it's a medicine that you inhale, and it really took me, I have no idea where I went. And I was out of my body, I was somewhere else, and I saw really crazy things that didn't really relate to my life. It was a lot about humanity and the perversion and a lot of darkness and disgusting things that I won't share in this video, but it really shocked me and moved me to a space of a negativity. After the session, I was feeling high and happy and connected and all this connection with God. But the following weeks was one of the hardest weeks of my entire life. It really took me to this place where I felt paranoia, where I felt like I was here but not here. So I was like in a limbo state of feeling like I was still there and feeling all this paranoia. I felt like people wanted to kidnap me, or people were against me, that there was enemies around me. I felt like there was no point in my life. I felt just horrible. I felt like I want to take my life away. So luckily, I was able to call one of the organizers who understood what I was going through, and he helped me calm down. But it took a while for me to release that. I got upset with my parents. I stopped talking to them, and I had no money. I left my mom's house, who was living in Honduras, and I went to Nicaragua by bus with like just $20 in my pocket, just trying to figure out where I was going to go, because I didn't talk to my parents. I didn't have anywhere to go. It was just a mess. And in retrospect, now I think about it, it was really dangerous for me to do that. But at the time, I did it because I thought that's what I needed to do. But in reality, it was because my mind was just messed up. I had no idea why I had seen that. I felt like the world was a horrible place, that it was bad. So I felt like that experience taught me a lot of not putting your power on something external, not believing fully on these spiritual leaders who portray themselves as having all the answers, and not letting myself put all my power into a shaman, or putting my power into a priest, or putting my power into no one, and believing them wholeheartedly, because that is really dangerous. And I that's why I stopped. And after that experience, I decided to not continue connecting with plants or using plants as a spiritual growth. A lot of the things also that I realize now is that instead of moving me forward, a lot of that kind of pulled me back, because I'm pretty sure now that I had some entity attachments at that time that I wasn't aware of. And instead of helping me grow and heal, it kind of pulled me back, and I had to take a couple of steps back for me to kind of heal that again. So it's very important to understand that. Okay, so the problem with ceremonies with no integration is that you're basically not understanding the root cause of the issue. So if you don't have a deep understanding of why something happened to you, either you're most likely going to experience it again, or it's just going to stay present because you didn't have an awareness of where that came from. Part of our growth is to understand what was the cause, and so that we can not make the same choice again, and that we can understand the lesson behind it or the meaning behind it, so that our mind accepts what happened and then allows it to release. So, from the ages 0 to 7, 50% of our personality forms, and after that, the other half of our personality continues to form. Through those ages, you're like a sponge, observing belief systems, patterns, behaviors that we observe from our family, from our friends, from society, and that is shaping the foundation of our reality, of our perception of our reality. So a lot of the times when we attract situations, we attract people, we're attracting them based on that foundation, because we perceive reality based on these filters that reflect what's on our inside, So 95% of our mind is subconscious or unconscious, and 5% is conscious. So a lot of the things that live in our subconscious mind are completely unconscious. We're not aware of them at all. So when we tap into the subconscious mind through these medicines, through psychedelics, through hypnosis, a lot of this information comes encoded in symbols. And if we don't understand it, we might interpret them in a different way than what our subconscious mind is communicating to us. And that's what happened to me in one of these sessions, in one of these ceremonies, was that I was perceiving the information as something bad, or that my parents were at fault, and it puts you in a state of victimhood, or a state of I don't know, you start to believe that you're something, or that you're angry, or you're resentful about what happened to you when you were, a young age. This trauma gets activated when you're doing these medicines, and you start to see what's happening, but you don't really understand why it's happening, So you start to get into this state of victimhood, or anger, or resentment, and that's what's there because you weren't able to process it when the opportunity to process it was there, through the integration, through understanding, through realizing that this is probably a generational trauma that was passed down, and now you understand and you have compassion towards whoever gave you the trauma, and you're understanding that it's just a role that this person came here to fulfill for you to learn whatever you needed to learn. So a lot of these patterns, a lot of these beliefs, perceptions, behaviors, I like to call them programs. And those programs get automatically, sometimes they act out automatically without us realizing them. Like I was explaining before, sometimes these programs are unconscious. We're not aware of them at all. We don't know, we just automatically do them, So when we tap into our subconscious mind and we activate a trauma or a memory, we have the opportunity to change that program by understanding where the program comes from, by removing the program and then adding new programs, the programs that we want, the new belief systems, the new ideas, the new vision that we want, so that our life can reflect that. Because if we're operating from these programs, we either make the wrong decisions or make the decisions, not wrong or right, but we make the decisions based on how we filter our reality, based on these programs, based on the foundation or the core of our personality or how we perceive life. So we make the decisions, we have these attitudes, and we respond to life based on those programs. So we also create an electromagnetic field which emanates a frequency that attracts people and situations and experiences that match that frequency that you're emanating. So it's crucial that you understand how to do the work, how to access the subconscious mind in a responsible way, how to change the program so that you can attract what you need, what you want to attract, what your soul is, So this is a very important of why just common practices, like I was explaining before, common practices like yoga, meditation, breath work, or, journaling, or, these practices help, or like ceremonies and all this stuff, like cacao ceremonies, or, breath work, sound healing, and all these stuff, like they work, but those things are the after of the true deep healing work. So think of your mind as a garden. When we are doing all these ceremonies, or we take mushrooms, or we, maybe not mushrooms, but when we are doing like yoga or meditation, or we are doing cacao ceremonies, or we're doing breath work, all these things, they help. But what they do is that they cut the weed from the top. So you cut them from the top and you don't see the weed. The weed's not there because you cut it from the top. So you feel great for a couple of days, you feel amazing for a couple of weeks, maybe months. And then all of a sudden, that thing, that experience, that emotion shows up again. And you're like, why? If I've been doing all this work all the time, I meditate every day, I do breath work every day, I journal every day, I take plant ceremonies all the time, and that problem still is there. Like, why does that happen? It's because you just cut the weed, you didn't take it from the root. And that's what we do when we access the subconscious mind. That's what we do when we are in hypnosis. When you have a facilitator that is taking the journey with you so that you can go to the root cause, the problem that activated this program, that activated all these beliefs and these perceptions of how you see the world. You understand why the program is there, where it came from, why it's there, and then you can remove it. Once you understand it, once you bring compassion to it, you honor it for what it taught you, and then you remove the program, you remove the weed from its root completely, so that no weed can grow again. So that's what we do when we access the subconscious mind. We remove the weed completely, okay? And this is, there's different methods for this. Some people call it parts work. Internal family system does it, soul retrieval. There's many methods that you can do this. It's basically kind of changing the memory and changing the past in a way. We're not really changing the past, but we're changing it in our mind, okay? So we're removing the weed completely, and then we have this fertile soil. We have to put nutrients, and then we have to plant new seeds so that the new seeds start growing with what we want to flourish with, okay? So we put the nutrients, and that's where all these practices come in. The yoga, the meditation, the breath work, the sound healing, the cacao ceremonies, the journaling, all of these ceremonies, all of these practices help once the soil is fertile and can receive the proper nutrients for the plants to grow, So that's the real work with integration, is embodying it and creating the habit of the new version of yourself. This new version is basically you, your soul, your higher self. So what you want is you want to remove the things that don't belong to you. Remove the programs, remove the beliefs, remove the behaviors that have constantly kept you in a loop. So that's why I believe it's so important to understand the work, understand the root issue. And it's not about reliving your trauma. I don't believe in that either. I don't believe in that type of work, because when you relive the trauma, basically you are constantly operating from that emotion. That trauma is present in your subconscious mind because it's still there, because you're constantly talking about it, you're constantly understanding, and then you create the whole story around it. And that's not the point. The point is to not get into your story, to understand where it came from, why it's there, and what is there to teach you. Then you remove it, and then you can start planting all these other modalities and all these practices, and really creating a habit to embody this new self that you are showing, okay? So these practices help you create a habit around that, So that's why it's important to journal every day. It's important to meditate every day. And and do yoga and all this stuff. And I'm pretty sure that you can access your subconscious mind through these practices too. But I feel like it will take you a little bit longer, or it will be hard to really understand if you don't have someone who can help you access that information that your subconscious mind is giving you. Like I said before, a lot of the times, like most of the time, your subconscious mind is speaking in symbols. So if you don't understand the language of your soul or the language of your subconscious mind, and you're operating from your ego or your conscious mind, you might bring meaning to these concepts in a whole different way, and you might misinterpret what your subconscious mind is telling you, okay? So that's why it's important to access these levels of awareness while you are in hypnosis or while you're in theta brainwave, because your mind is not there, your conscious mind is not there to give you answers, So when we do quantum healing work, when I facilitate a quantum healing session, that's exactly what we do. And like I said, I don't want people to look up to me like I know all the answers, because I don't. I don't know what's best for you. What I'm here to do for my clients is to be a facilitator, to be a guide, and take them through the journey. So I go on a journey with you. I guide you so that we can look for the keys and we can look for the root cause of your issue. So when I do a session, it's about 1 or 2 hours that I talk with my client, and I'm listening to the information that my client is telling me so that I can understand or have hints of where the root cause is. But everything is under the client. Like whatever happens in the session is because of the client, okay? The client has complete control of what is happening. So when you're in hypnosis, you have complete control of what shows up or what doesn't. You will see whatever you're ready to see. If you connect with your higher self is going to show you what you need to see at this particular moment in time. And you're going to be guided by your higher self, which is you, you're going to be guided through whatever you need to see, either from this life or from a past life. And then we access your higher self, which is the source of all knowing. And if we properly call in your higher self or your source, basically, so that only the highest possible energies or frequencies available to you are present in the session, so no other energies can be present. When we access your higher self, then we can get the information that you need to move forward. So this is a process of understanding also why you had this issue, where did it come from, why was it shown to you at this particular time, and what can you do moving forward. And from this space, then you can take, the right aligned actions and take the right decisions that are best for you. But that's basically what we do when we do hypnosis sessions, is we're clearing the weeds, we're taking the programs away that aren't benefiting you or are causing the problems. We create a fertile soil, we put the nutrients, and then we plant the seeds with the new programs, the new beliefs, the new things you want to call in to your life. So a couple of tools that I use for embodiment and for integrating whatever information I received after a session or after a spiritual or mystical experience is art. I love art because I'm really connecting with the right side of my brain. It connects you with your intuition, with your imagination, your visualization, and with that part of your brain that allows you to tune in and connect with your inner voice. So that is super crucial. It also creates new neural pathways in your brain. So you are basically rewiring your brain into your highest self, into your highest potential. So you do that. I also like journaling because journaling allows you to express yourself and integrate the information to create better understanding of why something happened to you. Also meditation. So practicing meditation allows you to regulate your nervous system and allows you to ground yourself into whatever information you received and gives you a clear guidance of what steps to take next. So basically these are my favorite tools that I use, and also, yoga or movement to just allow my body to receive and embody the information as well. And once you have all this information and you know why you had it, you removed it, and then you start planting those seeds, it's important that you create a habit of consistently showing up and programming your mind to how you want to think, how do you want to perceive the world, how you want to feel, what you want to attract, and create a habit of embracing that version of you through everything, through how you act, how you feel, how you move through life, what decisions you make. And the more you practice, the more that gets embodied in you, and then you don't have to think about it too much, But just thinking that going to ayahuasca session or just going to a hypnosis session, that's all you need to do. That's not it. It's part of the process. The next part of the process is the integration, is doing the work, the habit. Because if whatever life you want has the version of you that it's not you right now, If you want a different life, you need to become the person that has that life, okay? And how do you become that person is by acting that way, So before you didn't have it because you were operating from these past programs that you weren't aware of. But now that you remove those programs, you have to do the other part of the work, which is planting the new seeds and growing it every single day, watering it every day. You water it by doing these habits, by making art, being creative, by journaling, by meditating, by doing breath work, by scripting and visualizing the life that you want. And that's how you connect to that life that you dream and that is meant for you. So I hope that this video helped you. Please subscribe so that you can receive more notifications of videos like this. Also, share it with someone that you think might need it. And if you have a question, let's connect. I'll put my Instagram and my website below. Also, if you want a one-on-one session, I'm offering hypnosis sessions as well. I offer mentorship sessions and all the good stuff. So just go to my website if you want a one-on-one session with me, or if you want to talk to me, just go to my Instagram. So yeah, thank you for watching till the end, and I will see you on the next video.